knowledge, you have no knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And so it means you cannot quantify it, and it isn't going to get better just by doing a little more scrutiny, because it's not even knowable because of the nature of reality. That's like in my research for my book that I'm soon to publish on postmodern theology and emergent church that you've been helping me with,
right,
doing editing. I pointed out that when some of these people use subatomic physics to try to prove their Eastern worldview, that as a matter of fact, that beyond what quantum mechanics can do with predicting where the electrons are going to be in their orbit, and that's kind of complex, what goes on beyond that in smaller increments than that isn't knowable, and there's a reason why it's not knowable. I saw a lecture out in San Diego by a physicist who proved, using this uncertainty principle, that it's impossible to know any more after you get past such a level. So they take that and use that to promote their religious idea, these emergent guys. Oh, subatomic, everything's spiritual.
Yeah, we came across that early in the book, and then we delved into it later in your new book, and I thought, what has that to do with faith?
It's another way of trying to create a worldview based on what people cannot know. We should not base a religion on what cannot be known.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
How dangerous is that?
Yeah.
I mean, dangerous.
Well, it's very dangerous. It's like with specific revelation. All we know about God in the spiritual world is what he's chosen to tell us, and that's in the Bible. But people that make religions outside of the Bible are creating a view of spirituality that they can't possibly know because they can't see it and they can't do an experiment on it. The Spirit is unseen. What we know is what God's chosen to reveal. So when you apply that to this global warming, the fact is we don't have uncertainty. We have a sheer lack of knowledge. Let me quote those guys about that. The models, they say, show surface warming from adding carbon dioxide to the atmosphere because of their programming. They could yield surface cooling with different program without violating any physical law. All that is required is to allow things to change in the model that do, in fact, change in the atmosphere. This is not uncertainty. This is nescience. We don't know. So make a model that says it's going to be cool. That's fine. Make one that says it's going to warm. Okay. Have at it. But we still don't know.
You could make one that says it's going to get warm, then it's going to get cool, only to revert back to warm.
Yeah.
You could do that too. Anything goes.
So we're asked to believe in human-caused global warming in the absence of knowledge. This is the very definition of a blind leap of faith, and a very costly one. A very costly one. Now, we should talk about, and we alluded to this a little bit, just this radiative energy, the infrared gases, that the number one, far and away, and I mentioned this in another program, is water vapor. Water vapor is king, as they say in this book, making CO2 minuscule in comparison when it comes to gases in the atmosphere that are able to radiate energy or hold energy and release it and so on.
Right.
Okay, so the number one by far is water vapor. Now the question that ought to be asked is, why isn't anybody talking about water vapor, which is far more important than CO2? Why? Because they can't pin that one on us.
On anything we cause or we produce.
Yeah. They can't say that we're going to be able to do anything about water vapor. It's huge. It's a huge part of the atmosphere, okay? And it's far more important than carbon dioxide. And when they start talking about, and I saw different numbers on this, but the total number of gigatons of carbon that are in the atmosphere, here, let me just quote them a little bit. The stock of CO2 fixed as carbon in land biota is 2,000 gigatons carbon. In the oceans, 40,000 gigatons. In fossil fuels, it's 5,000 to 10,000 gigatons. And in this is constantly being exchanged between the surface and the atmosphere. Plant respiration and decomposition releases and withdraws 60 gigatons, plus or minus. Ocean releases, withdraws 90 gigatons. This is all in my paper as I quote them. And so they're very large additions and withdrawals from the atmosphere. This is what we are believed to contribute in fossil fuel-based emissions, 7 gigatons, or 5% of the total land and ocean emissions. And these things vary. There's variations. So this 5%, I've seen other numbers, but they're all small. This 5% that's there because of us, and carbon dioxide is tiny as far as an infrared gas compared to water vapor. Why are we worrying about this?
Has anyone given us a number to illustrate how tiny it is?
Well, I saw that DVD. Remember the numbers on the DVD we saw? I think it was like 96% is water vapor.
Right. It was a tiny number.
It's like 2% or something.
2 to 3.5% is what the number they give.
Yeah, 2 to 3% of carbon dioxide, and we only put part of that in the air. So the part that we put in is this tiny little sliver compared to the bigger hole out there.
Right.
And we're supposed to shut down our industries, quit driving our cars, quit drilling for oil. We're supposed to try to shut down human activity as much as possible in order to achieve some goal of using less fossil fuels and putting less carbon dioxide in the air. Why? Because we are being duped into this agenda. And I believe that some of the people, I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but I believe that some of the people know that this is all a big lie, and they're still promoting it.
Because they will gain. They will benefit.
Yeah, politically.
Right.
And
power.
They also believe in this globalist agenda.
As the end times unfold, the scriptures teach us about a one world or a singular government. Isn't that right?
Yeah, so this is what's helping it happen.
This government wouldn't appear tomorrow.
Yeah.
Something has to be built in order for it. A structure would have to be
exactly.
in place.
So that's where it's going.
Right.
Now let's go back to our questions, okay, that we opened. So we finished with those 9 questions. Is the Earth warming? Well, as they pointed out in their book, the answer is that because there's no single global temperature, we cannot give a yes or no answer. The Earth is not in thermodynamic equilibrium. The Earth doesn't have a temperature. It's got an infinite number of temperatures all over the place that are changing.
And we can't take them, combine them, and create an average.
Yeah, it doesn't. You know what they said? It's like taking all the numbers in a phone book, adding them all up, and making an average phone number. Well, you'd get a number.
Why not?
But what are you going to do with it?
This is the average phone number for the Twin Cities metropolitan
area. Exactly. And so what good is that going to do? So we don't know. Temperatures are going up and down here and there all over the planet, as they point out. Quote, if there were some climate changes in the category of our sun going nova or even something more moderate like a major ice age, then all of the infinity of local temperatures would be saying the same thing, namely that it is heating or cooling everywhere all the time. Nobody's even saying that's what's going on. It's getting colder some places, warmer some. There's shifts and changes, okay? So is the Earth warming? Well, I can't say that. We don't know for sure. Has warming already been observed? The answer, they say, is yes in many places, but then cooling's been observed in many places too. So you really don't have a straight answer on that one. There are some places cooling, some places heating. Are humans causing global warming? Cannot know that. It's unknowable. Nescience. Do all scientists but a few believe it? Well, the answer is no.
You know, you mentioned our local weatherman.
Yeah.
There's another one almost as prominent as he, who is completely holds the opposing view. There's our view. There is no global warming. The same things here.
Yeah, exactly. So there's all kinds of opinions about this, but because of the political thing, anybody that doesn't agree with us is considered some sort of a nut or a skeptic or somebody that just isn't getting with it. They're called deniers.
Deniers.
Yeah, they make the analogy that's like during the Cold War, the Soviet Union, they're dissidents. It's like if you don't believe in global warming, you're a climate criminal.
Yikes.
Okay? So there's no consensus as far as scientists go. It's fictional and it's political. The next questions are, is it bad? Should we act immediately? Well, it's meaningless. For one thing, we don't necessarily know that if overall the climate was somewhat warmer, it would be worse.